WFSB Channel 3. Now, Eyewitness News Night Beat.
Good evening. Another U.S. helicopter goes down in the Gulf tonight. The crash killed all 4 crewmen aboard. Here's the latest from the war front. The search continues for 3 men missing after their B-52 bomber went down in the Indian Ocean today. Relentless pummeling of Iraqi targets knocks out a Scud launcher in 25 major bridges in Iraq. The U.S. is ready to use a new weapon to blow up Iraqi mines, and the president prepares to seek more money to fund the war effort.
Military officials say the latest U.S. helicopter crash was not combat-related. In another chopper crash earlier today in Saudi Arabia, 2 Marines were killed. Officials say that crash was not combat-related either. The U.S. B-52 bomber to go down in the Indian Ocean today had 6 crew members aboard. 3 servicemen were rescued. 3 others are considered missing in action. Since the Gulf War began 18 days ago, B-52 bombers have been zeroing in on Iraq's elite Republican Guard. Authorities say the B-52 that went down in the Indian Ocean is the first B-52 lost. But officials say they don't believe the bomber was shot down by hostile forces.
It does appear that that was probably a mechanical problem, but again, until the investigation is complete, that is just our best guess, not a best guess, that's our best estimate at this time of the cause of that downed B-52.
Today in Saudi Arabia, the Army tested a new weapon. The military hopes to use the rocket-powered explosive to destroy minefields used to protect Iraqi positions. Using the rocket-propelled charge will reduce the need for Allied troops to do the dangerous work of tiptoeing through suspected minefields with handheld probing rods.
They're the first ones in this battalion to do this. Here's a battalion corn for you. Thank you. Good job. Here's a battalion corn for you. Thank you. Outstanding job. Thank you, sir. Were you scared?
A little bit, sir.
You okay now?
I'm fine.
Also in the Gulf, officials say 4 Marines killed last week in a battle along the Kuwaiti border were hit by Iraqi tank fire. The first U.S. ground troops killed by enemy fire. And military investigators now say 7 other Marines were accidentally killed by a missile fired by an American warplane.
And it appears now that if you look, as we have, at the penetration of the vehicle, it came in on the back left-hand side and went into the engine compartment in the bottom right. So clearly it was an airborne missile, and we have every reason to conclude that it was, in fact, a friendly missile. As a matter of fact, our EOD have looked at some of the fragments, and it does appear that it's probably a Maverick missile.
Tomorrow, President Bush will ask for $15 billion to pay for the Gulf War as part of his fiscal 1992 spending plan. Administration officials say if the war ends quickly and allied nations help with the cost, it may not be likely that the president will try to raise taxes to pay for the war. Meanwhile, in the Gulf today, Iraq fired 2 more missiles at Israel. One might have landed in Jordan.
The State Department urging all Americans to leave Jordan tonight. This is Jordan's Crown Prince Hassan predicts Saddam Hussein would rather die than surrender. He says the U.S. has left Saddam no choice but to fight to the bitter end. In the eyes of history, he believes a martyr is a winner. Meanwhile, sorties, Allied officials say, continue to show success, knocking out 25 of 35 major bridges to the Iraqi front lines in Kuwait.
In this phase of the campaign, we're selecting key high-value targets to induce severe hemorrhaging of Iraqi fuel and supply lines. Last night, the tornadoes continued their deep strikes into the heartland of Iraq and achieved considerable success against petro-production facilities. Sometime earlier, 16 tornadoes paid a visit to western Iraq to sort out a crude oil pumping station, and this station is no longer operational.
We clearly are able to dominate the skies over Iraq. They are not flying any missions against us with their own air forces, and whenever they do, we shoot them down. Their SAMs, or surface-to-air missiles, have been generally ineffective. They still have a lot of AAA, of anti-aircraft artillery, and it's still a dangerous environment to operate under. Nobody should assume it's not.
Today, the Allied forces passed 41,000 sorties. 12 Americans have been killed in action. There have now been 18 American non-combat related deaths. 27 Americans are